Hello. Hello, everyone. Good. I hope there is I'm sitting here hoping there is an everyone I'm saying hello to. Are there some everyones here? That's good. I'm sitting here with Katrine and Sam are on the crew. Do we have are some people joining us for this special event?
Yeah,
great.
65.
65 people. How marvellous. This must be the biggest Bhante birthday puja we've ever had. That's amazing. Isn't that wonderful? How lovely. Great. So very, very warm welcome to you. My name's Subhadramati. Particularly welcome if it's your first time to the London Buddhist Centre, and also I know many of you will have been here many times in person and online, so really, really great to have so many of us along for this. It's one of my highlights of the year. Every year it feels like it becomes more and more of a highlight, especially since Bhante's passed away. It just feels wonderful to be celebrating his birthday. We worked out he would have been 95 today, to celebrate his birthday with a puja. And this tradition started 18 years ago. And I really, really remember it. I remember it was an order member called Danavira, who used to be around the London Buddhist Centre, who had the idea of let's do 108 pujas for Bhante, one every year. And I do remember that a slight thrill of thinking, we'll start something that we don't personally live to see the end of. And I find there's something very mythic about that. In a way, I guess the whole Dharma life is like that. The whole endeavour's like that. We all just, it's like an offering that all of us do. We never see the end of it. We just offer what we can do and then trust that others will take up the baton, as it were. And that's what we're doing tonight, 18 years on, so 18 out of the 108. And so here we are. First time we've ever done it under these lockdown conditions. I'm here with most of my community, Navakula. Very nice to be able to be with them since we're one household. Some people from Sukhavati community as well, and a couple of other people who are helping with the cameras and other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a little bit about the shrine, because usually I'd invite you to come closer and look at the shrine, but you probably can't see it quite so well. But the shrine has got some very special things on it, and all these things are kept in a special box that only comes out once a year. And actually I was privileged enough to be part of the ritual 18 years ago on an order convention, where we had a special ritual where we took these boxes, which were blessed by Bhante, and brought them home to our respective centres. Actually, I was living at the Dublin Centre at that time, so I took the Dublin Centre box back, and somebody must have taken a box here, because we've got one that gets kept in our store cupboard and dusted down once a year and brought out just for this occasion. And in this box, which has been blessed by Bhante, are a number of things which are now on the shrine. So there's a special candle that we're assured will last for 108 years. It seems to be doing quite well so far. Now, there were 108 sticks of incense, but I think one year somebody must have got very enthusiastic and burnt all the incense. So the incense is no more. The 108 sticks of incense have gone up in smoke, literally. There's a picture of Bhante that he has signed. What else is there? All the shrine cloths are specially in that box, and we brought them out. There's also, now this is very important for you all, there's a special book that's kept in that box, and every single year we write down the names of the people who attend the puja. So you'll all need to now write all your names in the chat box, and one of the team will make sure that we save all those names, and then I'll personally write them all down in the book. So do put your name in the chat box. So that we can include you in this in the book. it's lovely. I was looking at it today. I was looking back over the years, the different leaders of the pujas, and of course that book itself is a historical item, really, because there's people who participated who already have died. There's also people who started off as friends or mitras perhaps, who then have become order members over those 18 years. So you actually see the passage of time through this book. So do make sure you put your name in the chat box so you can be included in that. Also on the shrine are some things that we've added to the ritual. Again, you probably can't clearly see it, but there's a special relief of Amitabha that comes from a vision that Bhante had of Amitabha holding up a red lotus, and we're going to be hearing more about that vision in the puja. And also there's a copy of the Diamond Sutra, which Bhante came across in a second-hand bookshop at the age of 16, and upon reading that, he knew that he was a Buddhist and always had been. So at the tender age of 16, picking up this book in a bookshop on Charing Cross Road, he knew not only that he was a Buddhist, but he always had been. Good, so that's some of the things on the shrine. So in a moment we're going to start our sevenfold puja, and I really want to encourage you to participate in that puja. I know sometimes when you're at home, I know this myself when I'm participating online, I can feel a bit self-conscious joining in at home in a puja, but also if you do it, it's quite strong, because when you're at the Buddhist Centre, you're joining in with everyone else. At home, maybe you're on your own, or maybe you're with friends. But especially if you're on your own, it can just be unexpectedly powerful to join in with the puja. Just checking everything. All right, good. I can see the technical crew whispering. So do join and do actually participate with the puja. It will be in call and response. Before the puja, we're going to have 3 readings, and the readings are all from Bhante's own writing. They're taken from a collection that Maitreya Bandhu has been putting together over several years of Bhante's writing under different headings. And this evening's readings, all the readings I've chosen are under the heading of Dreams and Visions. So we're going to be hearing readings on Bhante's dreams and visions. So we'll just sit and we'll just listen to those readings. And then I'll start us in the puja. After the worship section, as usual, we'll have a mantra. It's going to be led by Sarvana Jyoti, the Shakyamuni Mantra, and some of us are going to make offerings. And I do encourage you, if you're sitting before your own shrine, to make an offering. And then we'll carry on the puja as usual. After the final verse, we'll have the Tara Mantra. And then when the Tara Mantra fades away, we'll just sit quietly and see if anything else arises. And then at the very end, I'll ring a final bell. And that'll be the end of our 18th 108 year Bhante Puja. So, if you haven't already put your name in the chat box so that you can be included in the special book, this would be a good time to do that now. And then what we'll do is we'll just settle down, and perhaps we'll just dim the lights a little bit, but not too much, because we want the readers to be able to still see the readings. Good, so that's just settling down for a moment. Just connecting with Bhante. Some of us have met Bhante. I've been lucky enough to meet him several times. Some of us maybe were lucky enough to meet him many times, but many people perhaps didn't get the chance to meet Bhante personally. But in a way, we've all met him through meeting the Dharma, through being part of this Triratna Buddhist community. we can just bring to mind that all that happened through Bhante, this character who erupted in Tooting in South London, sort of erupted into the world and has made such a huge effect on so many lives. So just connecting with our connection with Bhante, whatever that is. And then when our first reader is ready, we'll start to hear some of Bhante's dreams and visions.
Long before dawn, as well as at intervals throughout the day and night, we heard the temple bell. Perhaps it was my imagination, but I always seemed to hear the temple bell. It was not really one bell, but two bells that I heard, the first being higher in pitch than the second, but the twin strokes came so close together and were at once so well contrasted and so well harmonized that they constituted for me a single experience. As a single experience, I referred them to a single origin and thought of the sound as being produced by one bell, or rather by a kind of double bell, which was struck perhaps either by two hammers in one place or in two places by one hammer. The bell sounded louder than any of the instruments that accompanied the evening worship, louder than all of them combined. It was so loud that it penetrated rock as easily as air, so loud that it made no difference whether we were inside the cave or outside it. When we were inside the cave, indeed, it was as though the great bell swung not somewhere inside the temple, but up in the air, directly outside the cave. Sometimes I heard it in my dreams. Hour after hour it seemed to toll, incessant and insistent, wave after wave of brazen sound breaking upon me like the repeated thunder of surf on the seashore. Sometimes it was as though the bell, swinging outside, was striking against the hill, and that the hill was the bell, and the bell itself the hammer that struck the bell. Again, the hill was not bell, but anvil, and the bell the hammer that struck, after sonorous stroke, smote upon the anvil. The point of impact, the point where hill and bell met, where hammer smote anvil, was the cave, was me. Between the hill and the bell, between the anvil and the hammer, I was being reshaped, was being beaten into something, I knew not what. I was being changed. One night I found myself, as it were, out of the body, and in the presence of Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light, who presides over the western quarter of the universe. The colour of the Buddha was a deep, rich, luminous red, like that of rubies, though at the same time soft and glowing, like the light of the setting sun. While his left hand rested on his lap, the fingers of his right hand held up by the stalk a single red lotus in full bloom, and he sat, in the usual cross-legged posture, on an enormous red lotus that floated on the surface of the sea. To the left, immediately beneath the raised right arm of the Buddha, was the red hemisphere of the setting sun, its reflection glittering golden across the waters. How long the experience lasted, I do not know, for it seemed to be out of time as well as out of the body. But I saw the Buddha as clearly as I had ever seen anything under the ordinary circumstances of my life, indeed far more clearly and vividly. The rich red colour of Amitabha himself, as well as of the two lotuses and the setting sun, made a particularly deep impression on me. It was more wonderful and more appealing than any earthly red. It was like red light, but so soft and, at the same time, so vivid as to be altogether without parallel. In the course of the next few days, I composed a series of stanzas describing the vision. Contrary to my usual practice, I failed to write them down afterwards, with the result that they gradually faded from my mind. But the experience itself never faded. Nearly a quarter of a century later, the figure of the Red Buddha is as clear to me in recollection as it was the next morning in the Virupaksha Guha.
The name of the Tatler restaurant has remained lodged in my memory, not on account of the number of times we met on its premises, but because of my experience Violet had there during one of my lectures, an experience about which she told me sometime afterwards. While I was speaking, she said, she saw standing behind me a strange figure, rather larger than life, who appeared to be overshadowing me and inspiring me. He was clad in a red robe and wore a curiously shaped red hat. From this description, I had no difficulty recognizing Padmasambhava, the greatly precious guru, whose form I had been accustomed to visualize as part of the going for refuge and prostration practice. Neither Violet nor Carl had ever heard of him before. They knew nothing of Tibetan Buddhism and had only a limited acquaintance with Buddhist doctrine and history. Their interest in Buddhism was practical rather than theoretical, and Violet, whom I knew to be psychic, was a serious meditator. A few years later, there was to befall me in the Rag sitting room an experience in connection with Violet no less remarkable than the one that had befallen her at the Tatler restaurant in connection with me.
Come forward.
Even when, on a good night, I had 3 or 4 hours sleep, I did not have it on block, so to speak, but in anything up to 8 or 9 bits, each separated from the other by a period of wakefulness. Thus, the clouds were very dark, but they had, from time to time, a lining not of silver, but of gold. That lining was made up of the dreams and visions that came to me during my annus horribilis, whenever I was able to enjoy a little sleep. In the earlier part of that period, I used to find myself sitting in the midst of a group of monks. Sometimes the group was yellow-robed, sometimes red-robed, but it was always either the one or the other. The monks I saw in my dreams were not monks I had known in real life, but I always knew the monks very well in those dreams of mine, and I felt quite at home with them. I did not always find myself with the other monks in the same kind of place. Sometimes it was a temple, sometimes the forecourt of the monastery cut out of the rock. In front of us there would be a shrine, and we were all chanting. I do not know in what tongue of men or angels we chanted, but there was a sense of our worshipping the Buddha and chanting his praises. Reflecting on these dreams, I concluded that they were not just a reminiscence of my days as a monk, even though such reminiscences have provided those dreams with their language. What the dreams really expressed, I believe, was the upward thrust of my being, a thrust which showed itself in my lifelong devotion to the Buddha and his teaching, in my enjoyment of poetry, music, and the visual arts, and in my love of noble friendship. These monastic dreams were succeeded, not entirely eclipsed, by dreams in which I saw glittering displays of precious stones, mostly diamonds. Some displays took the shape of many-petaled flowers, others that of necklaces and tiaras, and yet others that of complex geometrical designs. All these displays were constantly changing, so that they were more like clouds than solid objects. There were also occasions when I saw diamonds strewn across a dark background, like stars across the midnight sky. Once I found myself walking down a broad tunnel that led into the depths of the earth. The tunnel was not dark, but filled with a soft golden radiance, while the walls of the tunnel were lined at every turn with diamonds which flashed and glittered. My dreams also assumed a variety of architectural forms. Many times did I find myself, for example, alone in a dark, empty, cathedral-like structure, which seemed in successive dreams to take over. Once there was carried into the vast building, in a little procession, the dead body of an ecclesiastical dignitary of some kind. The atmosphere of these dreams was one of solemnity and awe. At other times I was walking in the mountains, amid the most beautiful scenery, each turn of the road revealing a prospect more glorious than the last. Far below me there was a river, while away in the distance on the horizon was a strip of dark blue that was the sea. In more than one dream did I make my way down from the mountain to the scattering of sunlit white villas lying at their foot, walk through them to the beach and the sea, or up and down the promenade, mingling with the holiday crowd. These mountaineering dreams were accompanied by feelings of expansion, exhilaration, and joy. In another dream I found myself not beside the sea, but high above it, looking down on a small white cruise liner far below. There was nothing but the blue sky above, nothing but the blue sky all around. I think I intended to drop straight down to the deck of the liner, but before I could do so, the dream ended and I awoke. Most of my dreams during this period were not so much dreams as visions, but there were a few in which I heard music. On one or two occasions the music came from a hall, outside of which I was standing, and once it simply came from above. It was not orchestral music, but the music of 1,000 human voices. The music from above, in particular, was of an indescribable beauty and sublimity, far surpassing any music I had ever heard, and it threw me into an ecstasy. What was strange, it progressed. What was strange, it progressed, but at the same time, it stood still. Paradoxically, it was static music. It united time and eternity. At the time, I did not know Thomas Tallis's Spend in Alium, but when I did happen to hear it years later, I was at once reminded of the heavenly music I had heard in my dream, of which it seemed a distant echo.
Eighteenth of 108 pujas for Bhante Sangharakshita. Firstly, worship with Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
I pay honour to the princes of the sages.
I pay honour to the princes of the sages.
So worthy of veneration.
So worthy of veneration.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
Sweet and penetrating,
Sweet and penetrating.
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft,
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft,
and pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
and pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels,
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels,
festooned with golden lotus,
festooned with golden lotus.
on the paving sprinkled with perfume.
On the paving sprinkled with perfume.
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Salutation. As many atoms as there are.
As many atoms as there are.
In the 1,000,000,000 worlds.
In the 1,000,000,000 worlds.
So many times I make reverent salutation.
So many times I make reverent salutation.
To all the Buddhas of the 3 eras.
To all the Buddhas of the 3 eras.
To the Siddharma.
To the Siddharma.
And to the excellent community.
And to the excellent community.
I pay homage to all the shrines.
I pay homage to all the shrines.
And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
Going for refuge. This very day,
This very day,
I go for my refuge
I go for my refuge
to the powerful protectors
to the powerful protectors
whose purpose is to guard the universe,
whose purpose is to guard the universe,
the mighty conquerors
the mighty conquerors
who overcome suffering everywhere.
who overcome suffering everywhere.
Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge
Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge
in the Dharma they have ascertained,
in the Dharma they have ascertained,
which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
Likewise in the host of Bodhisattvas,
Likewise in the host of Bodhisattvas,
I take my refuge.
I take my refuge.
Namo tassa
Namo tassa
Bhagavato Arahato
Bhagavato Arahato
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa
Namo tassa
Bhagavato Arahato
Bhagavato Arahato
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa
Namo tassa
Bhagavato Arahato
Bhagavato Arahato
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Panatipata.
Panatipata.
Verimini.
Verimini.
Sikkhapadang.
Sikkhapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Adinadana.
Adinadana.
Verimini.
Verimini.
Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Kamesu Mechachara Veramini Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musavada Veramini Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Suramarya Maja Hamadhatana Veramini Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. With deeds of loving kindness,
with deeds of loving kindness,
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With open-handed generosity,
With open-handed generosity,
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With stillness,
With stillness,
simplicity,
simplicity,
and contentment,
and contentment,
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With truthful communication,
With truthful communication,
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
With mindfulness clear and radiant,
With mindfulness clear and radiant,
I purify my mind.
I purify my mind.
Confession of faults. The evil that I have heaped up
The evil that I have heaped up
through my ignorance and foolishness,
through my ignorance and foolishness,
evil in the world of everyday experience,
evil in the world of everyday experience,
as well as evil in understanding and intelligence,
as well as evil in understanding and intelligence.
all that I acknowledge to the protectors,
All that I acknowledge to the protectors,
standing before them
standing before them,
with hands raised in reverence,
with hands raised in reverence,
and terrified of suffering.
and terrified of suffering.
I pay salutations again and again.
I pay salutations again and again.
May the leaders receive this kindly,
May the leaders receive this kindly,
just as it is with its many faults.
just as it is with its many faults.
What is not good, O protectors,
What is not good, O protectors,
I shall not do again.
I shall not do again.
Rejoicing in merit. I rejoice with delight
I rejoice with delight
in the good done by all beings,
in the good done by all beings,
through which they obtain rest,
through which they obtain rest,
with the end of suffering.
with the end of suffering.
May those who have suffered be happy.
May those who have suffered be happy.
I rejoice in the release of beings
I rejoice in the release of beings
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
and the Buddha,
and the Buddha,
who are protectors.
who are protectors.
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
and the teaching,
and the teaching,
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings.
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings,
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
Entreaty and supplication. Saluting them with folded hands,
Saluting them with folded hands,
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma
for those wandering in the suffering of delusion,
for those wandering in the suffering of delusion,
with hands folded in reverence.
with hands folded in reverence.
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
May they remain here for endless ages,
May they remain here for endless ages,
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
The Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of Compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. Feeling, thought and choice, consciousness itself, are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no colour, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing, no ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them, nor is there pain or cause of pain, or a cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of dues of hindrance, rid of the fear-bred bite, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, gate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. transference of merit and self-surrender. May the merit gained
May the merit gained
in my acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
My personality throughout my existences.
My personality throughout my existences.
My possessions.
My possessions.
And my merit in all three ways.
And my merit in all three ways.
I give up without regard to myself.
I give up without regard to myself.
For the benefit of all beings.
For the benefit of all beings.
Just as the earth and other elements.
Just as the earth and other elements.
Are serviceable in many ways.
Are serviceable in many ways.
To the infinite number of beings.
To the infinite number of beings.
Inhabiting limitless space.
Inhabiting limitless space.
So may I become.
So may I become.
That which maintains all beings.
That which maintains all beings.
Situated throughout space.
Situated throughout space.
So long as all have not attained.
So long as all have not attained.
To peace.
To peace.
Sata Deva Manusanam. Music, his speech was music. Oh, the day he pointed out the noble way to men who, wandering in the dark, had quite forgot the ancient spark. Music, his speech was music. Sata